You know, I want to talk to y'all for a minute because I'm straight. I was born straight. I remember the first time that I saw a naked girl, I was just like, yeah, I like that. Even as a kid, I like girls. Never really liked dudes at all. It was just something where it's like, I knew I was straight since I was a kid. There's no questioning my sexuality. Certain ones would say stuff sometimes like, well, if you feel secure in your masculinity, and if you feel secure as a straight person, then you shouldn't have any problems kissing a dude. If I was kissing a dude, that'd probably mean I was gay. That isn't homophobia, that's just the fact that I'm straight. And what I've noticed is there's tons of different ones that have what is, basically heterophobia. Now, heterophobia is the fear of heterosexuals, and a heterosexual is a straight person. They act as if we're monsters, as if we're trying to destroy all life or something like that. But there's nothing wrong with me, other than the fact I have a mental health disability that, you know, when I'm manic, and all manic means is, that I sometimes have a lot of energy and that I, am very creative. So all that energy, just, what do I do with it? I come up with business ideas, technology ideas, movie ideas, art, all sorts of different stuff, right? So when I'm manic, sometimes I have audio and visual hallucinations. And that's all it is. And sometimes that causes certain problems. That's why I have a mental health disability. Especially when you realize how others make it a disability. Like, it wouldn't be as disabling as it is if others didn't act like arrogant assholes. Maybe if they showed some tolerance, well, I wouldn't feel like it was a disability. But when they're, you know, acting as if I'm just a normal person, sometimes even claiming that I'm pretending, well, that's because they're discriminating. But then when they're also trying to discriminate because I'm straight, that's just odd. They call me a homophobe because I don't want to dress in women's clothing and I don't want to kiss a dude. But that isn't homophobia. It's just the fact that I'm actually straight. They act as if, because I like girls, that I'm some sick perv because I don't like dudes. And it's like, no, I'm straight. You're the pervert because you want me to do something that goes contrary to nature. And that is the definition of perversion. You're trying to pervert me, and I ain't perverted. When someone says that they're gay, they're like, oh, they're so brave. They came out. And if I say I'm straight, they're like, what is wrong with you? What's wrong with you? It's America. Isn't it supposed to be, freedom, tolerance, equality? And yet, I'm constantly being treated with discrimination. I find it odd, some of the different cases that different ones have had, where they're like, they go to a restaurant or a bakery. For example, the gay couple that wanted a bakery to make them some cake for their wedding, and it went contrary to the person's religious viewpoints. Now, if they were really tolerant, they would have been like, well, you know what, if that's your religious view, since it isn't really hurting anyone, we could go to a different bakery, right? That would show tolerance. Instead, they wanted to go to court for their rights, their freedoms, while they're destroying the rights and freedoms of someone else to make a choice based on their religion that really didn't hurt anyone. It wasn't like they couldn't have gone to a different bakery. I mean, how many other bakeries are there at different places? So if they really believed in tolerance, they wouldn't have gone to court over a cake. I mean, if the person had, like, assaulted them, and if he, like, robbed them or something like that, if he was saying all sorts of hate speech towards them, well, maybe then that could be a case. But if all it is, look, I don't want to make a cake for a gay wedding because, of my religious beliefs, there is no harm in that. And you aren't showing tolerance if you can't just accept that that's their religious beliefs. Were they actually harming you? Did you walk away all bruised and bloodied? Did they rob you? So somewhere, if you realize that, the difference between those that are actually tolerant, like, I even help gays get their rights, believe it or not. I talked to some different ones. There were some lesbians I knew that wanted to get married. And I talked to them about certain constitutional rights, legal rights, and showed them how it actually could work so that they could get married. Now the crazy part is, there are those who for some reason want to act like I'm gay just because I helped some lesbians get married. When I lived with lesbians, a couple of them actually wanted to have sex with me. And then when others told the story about, some of that, they were like, well, Tim was living with gays and they were having sex. And I'm like, they were lesbians. Why do you want to make it sound like they were dudes? And then others want to make it sound like I forced myself. He forced them to do it. No, I didn't. Why would you want to make it sound like I forced them to do something that they actually wanted to do? It's discrimination. You're assuming they wouldn't want to have sex with me because they were lesbians. Why would you assume that? When you realize that if I told a lesbian, hey, do you ever penetrate yourself, or do you just only like surface stuff? Do you use dildos? And then after talking to them for a while, it's like, because they actually really like me, and, somewhere, if one of the girls one day goes, if you were a girl, I'd really want to have sex with you. Well, why wouldn't you? Well, you're a man, and like one girl, she was like, well, it's like you pee out of that. And I'm like, do you forget where you pee from? You ever put your face down there? Because, I eat pussy. I put my fingers in a girl's vagina and lick on their clit. And guess where the pee hole is in comparison to the clit and the pussy? The vaginal opening. She was suddenly like, I never thought about that. So if she decided she wanted to have sex, and she enjoyed it enough, she wanted to do it more than once, why would you want to make it sound like I raped her? See, when you realize that, if everyone's love is love, we need to have tolerance, then stop hating. Don't hate because I'm straight. It's somewhere it's like, if you start realizing the reality of it, do I need to start having parades so that different ones will finally accept me for who I am as a straight person? It's something where, it's like, why am I being discriminated against? Stop discriminating just because I'm straight. I like girls. When certain ones make, comedic comments about, well, you notice how gay dudes are always happy. Well, that's because they don't have a girl. I don't think it's that funny. Because I actually like girls. And when I'm surrounded with girls, I'm happy. When I ain't happy? When I have to deal with a bunch of perverted dudes. who for some reason think that I should want dudes instead of girls, and I'm straight, which means they're the perverts. It isn't me that's the pervert, they're the perverts. I like girls. I like being surrounded with girls. And that's part of what makes me happy. So it's just kind of odd, when you realize some of the stuff different ones say and what they do, and it's like you don't really view it as discrimination? How is it possible that you don't recognize it for what it actually is? You want to talk about tolerance? Maybe you should show some tolerance. Maybe you should stop with your hate speech as if there's something wrong with me just because I like girls. I'm a straight man. I'm supposed to like girls. I'm supposed to like females. Because I'm straight and I'm a man. I was born male. I ain't perverted. I'm straight. Why is it so difficult for certain ones to just accept that? Why is it certain ones feel that they can deny me my rights and privileges, that they can deny me what it is that I've earned for myself, including the fact that some of them destroyed my property, falsely accused me, tried to put me in prison, have verbally and physically assaulted me, and you think that there's something wrong with me? Why should I have to deal with all that abuse? Why should I have to deal with discrimination? Why don't you show any tolerance? Some different ones keep acting like I'm going to come out. It's because of their attitudes that I hate men more and more every day. I'm straight. Don't hate. Show some tolerance. Act like an American. Stop discriminating. Stop your hate speech. Is it something where it's like, what if I had a straight month? How many straight months did it? Oh, so Valentine's Day. Really? So you're saying you can't celebrate Valentine's Day if you're gay? Are you saying that's a straight holiday? Are you saying Christmas is a straight holiday? How many holidays are there that you could actually say are just, straight holidays only? Certain movies, they have stuff where there's, straight movies for almost everyone. So they're like, well, there isn't any gay. Well, there's gay movies too. They've had tons of gay movies. They act like there isn't any gay movies. I don't watch those movies because I'm straight. But there's tons of gay movies. It's just really interesting, if you really start doing some research, and once you start realizing certain realities, including how some want to use wording to make stuff sound a certain way. So when you realize, I ain't a homophobe, I'm just a straight person who's been harassed for years and years and years from a bunch of arrogant idiots who can't seem to accept the fact I'm straight. I'm just honest. I'm honest, and I'll tell you what it is for what it is. I ain't gonna lie to you. And I ain't a homophobe. I am just sick and tired of having different ones discriminate just because I'm straight. I'm straight. don't hate. Certain ones get mad because of the fact that girls actually want to have sex with me. Why? Because I actually know what the fuck I'm doing. Because I can give them orgasms. Because I actually like girls. So why would you want to try and separate me from any girl that actually likes me? Why do you try and threaten some of the girls that have said that they like me? Why have some of you even raped girls that liked me? That's hate. You're committing hate crimes. What you're doing is discriminatory. What you're doing is evil and wrong, and yet for some reason, you don't seem to notice that about yourself. If you want to talk about tolerance, maybe you should show some tolerance. And I ain't just talking to gays, because there's some that are like, oh, he's a homophobe. He's talking. I didn't say I was talking to just gays, did I? Or maybe the reason certain ones are offended is because of the fact they know that I'm talking to them. And maybe the reason other ones actually like what I have to say is because of the fact that, well, either one, they're straight and they've had to deal with similar circumstances. Two, the girls that actually like me and so they like what I have to say. Three, it's something where they're Americans. And they recognize the ideas of freedom, tolerance, equality for what it actually is. And how America is supposed to function. If you don't have any tolerance, if you're trying to limit others' freedoms, if you're trying to take away their civil rights, their personal rights, their constitutional rights, and their legal rights, how can you claim you're an American when America is based on the ideas of freedom, tolerance, and equality? Maybe you should think about that. And remember, I'm straight. Don't hate.